Hi everyone. I know a lot of you are getting excited to get home for Thanksgiving break and get some time to rest and relax with your families. Totally understandable. So we're getting to that point in the semester that we're getting finished up on all of our content that we're going to be actually learning. So this is the last week of new instruction for all of you. And so we're going to be going over a few different things. I'm going to get notifications here. All right, so I'm going to pull up this area where we've seen before, so the Dick, Carry, and Carry model. And so I just want to review kind of where we are. So we've been through all of these pieces. We've developed our assessments. We've developed our instructional strategies and our materials. So you've already also done formative evaluation, but we're also going to come back to this instructional strategies so we can think about how we're going to introduce each of our lessons, and then how we're going to, like in here, our evaluation, our formative evaluation of our students. So coming back, it kind of goes all the way back here where we do our instructional analysis and analyze our learners in context. So it's going to keep kind of doing a cyclical cycle here on what we are learning. So this week we're going to spend some time that we are going to be developing our introduction or hook to each of our lessons, and then how we're going to differentiate for our students. And so when we are looking at our hook, I'm going to pull this up here and take me off. So your overview and your hook is just basically how you're going to introduce your lesson and how you're going to hook your learners into learning the material or completing the assignment. So when we think about that part of it, I want you to think about, like, in my lessons, I always start with a video for each week. I start with a video kind of giving an overview of what we're going to be learning that week, and then trying to get you excited to do that lesson or do that activity. Now, when you do those hooks, it could be in different formats. So I could do it through kind of telling a story. I could be doing it in asking a posing question. I could do it in a lot of different ways, and I'm giving you some resources to help you come up with a good way to hook your students. It could be just based on what the activity is going to be. So you're going to describe the overview and hook of your lesson. So one way you can do an overview is you can just do a brief sentence or two about what your lesson is going to be about. And I know you've kind of already done that, but just give a quick synopsis so that you could also put that in your Canvas page with your introduction. Okay, so you're going to do that part of it, and then also describe how you're going to hook your students. And again, I provide some resources to help you with that hook piece. And then the other aspect of it is differentiating for your students. So if you think back to the first couple of weeks of CI 407 and when you were doing your course design, sections 1 through 4, I had you describe your learners. And so we talked about who those students were, what their cultural backgrounds were, what their interests were. And so I want you to kind of keep those in mind on how you might be able to differentiate for your students. So it could be based on the delivery of your lessons. It could be based on the activity you ask your students to do, give them voice and choice, all sorts of different ways that you can differentiate for your students. But you're going to describe the overview and hook for each of your lessons, and then how you're going to differentiate for your students for each of your lessons. So I'm going to pull myself back down here. And so in the differentiation area, like for example, these are some principles of differentiation and then how you can differentiate. So you can differentiate in the content that you're delivering, in the process of delivering that lesson, what the product is, the affect, and the learning environment. Now, with a learning environment, it's going to be a little bit harder with an online environment, but this might be if you put your students in groups. So you can literally do groups in Canvas as well, and those students are only in one group at a time. It could be on the process of how you're delivering your instruction, whether it's maybe in a group discussion, how you're delivering it in maybe a video or an experiment type of thing too, okay? Or you could do it according to your students' interest, to their readiness, so their ability level, and their learner profile. So based on their cultural backgrounds, based on where they are academically, based on what they've already taken in their classes, things like that. And then over here, just a variety of tools you can use, instructional approaches you can use to differentiate. I also provided some videos and some reading that will help you along the way of differentiating for your students. So use those as a guide to help you in developing those. So you're just going to do in your in your Google Doc for this week, for each section, so like lesson 1, you're going to add in an overview and a hook and describe that for that lesson, and then how you're going to differentiate for your students for lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3, for each of those. And that's all you have to do for this week. It is due on Sunday, but again, like I said, you can always turn them in earlier, especially if some of you want to get out of town or a little bit early. So if you have questions, again, like any other time, please let me know, and have a great break if I don't hear from you sooner.